Andrew Goes Fishing in Manitoba. Chapter 1. Watching Grampa. Andrew first discovered fishing at the age of 7. It was the start of fishing season, and Grandpa Brown had taken Andrew and his mom to watch while he fished at channel catfish at the Assiniboine River. The young boy stared in amazement as his grandfather put a chunk of fish on the hook. Andrew didn't get a chance to fish by himself, but he did help Grandpa hold the rod and reel. He got a little restless waiting for the fish to bite, but became excited when Grandpa suddenly swooped up the rod. Instantly the rod bent and its tip pointed to where the fish was, under the water. It was obvious from all the splashing and swirling that a big catfish was caught on the hook. After quite a battle, Grandpa Brown managed to bring the fish to shore. He unhooked it and held the large fish up. Andrew couldn't believe his eyes. His mother took a picture of him standing beside his grandfather, his eyes still fixed on the fish. After that, Grandpa Brown released the catfish back into the river. With a flick of its tail, it swam away. On the way home, Grandpa shared some information about fishing in Manitoba with Andrew and his mom. Adults have to buy a fishing license, but children under 16 don't need a license to fish. The general fishing season in southern Manitoba, where we live, usually starts on the Saturday closest to May 15th and ends on March 31st for most species of fish, Grandpa informed them. There's no fishing allowed between the close of the last season and the start of the new fishing season so that the fish aren't disturbed when they're spawning. Spawning is when the females lay their eggs and the males put the milky substance called milt on the eggs to fertilize them. Most species of Manitoba fish spawn in spring, but trout lay their eggs in the fall. Then Grandpa named some common species of fish that make their homes in Manitoba's waterways. Both mother and son listened with interest as the experienced fisherman continued to speak. These fish live in the marshes, creeks, streams, rivers, and 100,000 lakes that are found all around our province, from the prairies of southern Manitoba up to the tundra in the north where the polar bears and the beluga whales live. In some areas, there are fly-in fishing camps and lodges that can only be reached by plane, Grandpa finished with these words. The people of Manitoba have some of the best recreational fishing in the world right in their own backyard. It's the responsibility of Manitoba's fisheries and every person who lives in the province or visits here to preserve our fisheries resources so that the fish will always have a healthy habitat in which to live. Grandpa wanted to be sure that Andrew appreciated nature and was aware that children, even as young as him, could do small things to help protect the environment and the habitat of the animals and plants with which we share our world. It could be as simple as remembering not to litter or step on wildflowers when you go bird watching, or for a nature walk. Composting food scraps like apple cores and potato peels, or buying products with little packaging. When Grandpa mentioned Manitoba fisheries, the youngster said something that really pleased the older man. I heard about Manitoba fisheries at school. My teacher showed us some pictures she took when she went on a tour of the Whiteshell fish hatchery. They raise baby fish there in tanks so that every year they can put more fish into some of Manitoba's lakes and rivers to make up for the ones people catch and keep. That's called restocking, Grandpa added. Could you please take me there someday so that I can see the fish hatchery for myself? Andrew asked politely. Grandpa nodded, and the boy smiled back. There's something I was wondering about, Grandpa. Why did you let that catfish go back into the water? He questioned. Grandpa explained that, like other activities, fishing has rules that you have to follow. One rule is that all channel catfish, 61 centimeters or longer, must be put back into the water. That's called catch and release. You aren't allowed to keep the big ones. Why? Asked Andrew. His grandfather answered, the big fish are the ones that lay the most eggs. If you put them back, you will have more fish to catch in the future. This plan must be working because the Red and Assiniboine rivers around Winnipeg, and especially below Lockport on the Red, are world famous for their channel catfishing. Am I big enough to catch one? Asked Andrew. Grandpa chuckled and replied, it will be a few years before you're strong enough. The big catfish are tough fighters. They are plenty of shiny goldeye in the Assiniboine River near home. You can practice on them in the meantime. It was springtime and Andrew's birthday was coming up in the summer. Grandpa was planning a surprise for him.